This is Compound Interest 101, presented by Frank and Bob. Today, Frank will be representing Mr. Field, and Bob will be representing Mr. Gesford, as they cannot be with us. Okay, compound interest. Featuring Frank. Nope, Frank won't stay on the board. Frank gets to sit over here. Okay, in the last video that you guys saw from me, we worked with simple interest. Now, simple interest is simple, being that it adds the exact same thing every time. So we remember we talked about how 2% of $500 was $10. And so every month that I keep this amount in my bank account, I earn $10 every month. So if I want to know at the end of 3 months, what do I have? I just do 10 3 times, aka 30. Okay? Simple is just nice and simple that way. It will always just gain 10 bucks. Nothing different no matter if I add money or I take out money. Still just $10. Compound interest doesn't do that. Compound interest does something crazy. Now, unfortunately, there is no neat formula that I can give you at the moment. There is a formula I would not say is nice and neat, which I will teach you later once we have covered exponential growth. For right now, we're going to do an experiment using a table. So I'm going to take principal, and let's keep it at $500 again. And just so we can compare the two, let's keep rate at 2% as well. Now remember that our decimal is 0.02. You take 2, or whatever your percentage is, and you divide it by 100 on your calculator. Okay? Maybe I should show you how to do that. Take your phone, go to your calculator, okay? And you're going to do 2 divided by 100 equal. It's going to look just like that. Now, if you do 100 divided by 2, you're going to get 50. That is not the correct answer. So make sure you do 2 divided by 100. Okay. Now we kept our principal and our rate the same. Let's keep our months the same as well. Our time is also going to be 3 months. Just to see how things change. Okay, on this side, we're going to make a very similar table to what we did last time. So we're going to have our months, which are going to go from 0, 1, 2, 3, and for kicks and giggles, let's go to 4. And then we're going to have the interest that we have made by that month, what interest we made that month, and then the total amount of money we have in our bank account. Okay, so month 0, I have no interest earned, and I'm starting with $500. Okay, so the way this one works is I take $500 and I'm going to multiply that 500 by 2%. We know that that's going to get us $10. So at this point I have now made $10 worth of interest. Add that to my total. This is where this gets tricky. I now need to take 510 and multiply that by 200, or by 2%. So, again, we're going to demonstrate on the calculator. You take 500, and then you would multiply, no, sorry, I did that wrong. You take 510, multiply by 0.02, and I get 10.2. So, for this next month, I've now made $10.20, right? I'm going to add that to this. So now I've made 520, sorry. 520 and 20 cents. So basically, find interest, add. Okay? So multiply by 2%, you get 10, add that. And then you do it again. Take 2% of that and add again. So for 3 months, now we have 520 with 20 cents. So we're going to take 520 and 20 cents. We're going to multiply it by 0.02, which gets us $10 and about 40 cents, we're going to say. So I have $10 and about 40 cents. So that was my percentage. Now I need to add 530.60. Okay? All I did was I added my 1040 to my 520, and I got that one back. Okay? Let's do that one more time. So I'm going to take my 530 and 60 cents, 60, and multiply it by 0.02, which gives me $10 and about 61 cents. $10.61. That was my 2%, and now I add. So I have 540, actually. If I take this amount here and I add it to 530.60 equals, I now have 541.21. So 541.21 cents. Okay? Now if we think about this comparatively, by the time we got down here, for our simple interest, we had $540. So already our compound interest has given us $1.21 more than we would have had we just been using simple interest. And it'll continue to grow as we move. Now, something I want you to notice. We're going to get rid of all this over here so I have extra room to work. And we're going to get rid of some of these notes. So right now would be a great time to pause the video, take down the notes from the table. Hopefully you've done that. And now we're going to erase all these crazy marks here and just make this a little bit more simplified for ourselves. So we are going to erase this so I have some more room to write. And then we're going to simplify this table. Okay. So if you recall, we had 0, 500, and then 10, 510, and then 10.20. That was 520.20, and then 10.40. That was 530.60, and then we had 10.61, and we have a 541.21. Okay. Compound interest. The reason it's special is because I don't add the same thing every time. Did you notice I added 10 here, and then 1020, and then 1040, and then 1061. I add very different things every month. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger based on how much money you have. Unlike simple interest, which you remember starts with the principal, and it only gives you what you originally put in, no matter if you take things out or you put more in. It's the exact same. Compound doesn't do that. If you add more money, the interest gets bigger. If the interest simply adds more money, $10 in this case, it gets bigger. So anything you add in it, take away from it, or the interest adds into it, makes the amount of money you get back even more. So when it comes to investing money in a bank, compound interest is the one you want to ask for, because you make more and more money the more money that is in that bank account, which is what's going to return a really good investment for you. What we just did with all the crazy arrows is a really long way to go about it. I'm going to show you a shortcut. So, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 500 by 1.02. And we're going to see what we get. And I'll explain why I chose 1.02 in just a second, once we get back our answer. So 1.02 times 500 equals 510. Okay, so I got this number. It's a horrible 5. Now, what's happening here is I am multiplying this number by 1. What happens when I multiply a number by 1? You can answer that because you are not here. You should remember that when you multiply a number by 1, you get the number back itself. So in this case, I just get 500. by multiplying 500 by 0 or 0.02, that's me multiplying it by my rate. Because if you recall, my rate was 2% or 0.02. So what happens here is I basically multiplied it by 102%, which gives me back the answer I had, plus an additional 2%. So let's test this one again. Let's multiply 510 by 1.02. We should get 520.20. Let's figure this out. So I already have 510 loaded up here. We're going to multiply it by 1.02. And I got 520.2. Ignore the texts. Should we try that one more time? Remember, we're multiplying by 102%, or 1.02, so I should get 520.20 times whatever 2% of that is. So let's try that one again. 520.2 times 1.02 equals 530.60, which, if you'll notice, is my next one. And this is kind of the way that we do compound interest. We'll show you later on when we learn exponents how to use this in an equation. But for now, all we have is we have this nice trick. This is just like the formula for simple interest, except that it's more of a trick than it is an actual formula. All you're going to do is you take 1 and then you add whatever your rate ends up being. So let's say, for instance, my rate was, let's say 10%. Okay? 10%. If I divide 10% by 100, I should get 0.1. Okay? Using this formula here, what I'm going to multiply every time by is 1 plus 0.1. It's 1 plus whatever my rate is, which should equal 1.1. At this point, I'd ask you if it makes sense, but you can't answer me back. So let's try it again, just in case it didn't make sense. Let's do 6%. 6%. In case you're wondering why I'm choosing low numbers, interest doesn't typically tend to be that high of a percent. If it is high of a percent, it's going to be on a loan, and that is typically your key to say, no, I don't want to take a loan out from you because that's too high. I don't want to have to pay that much money. So this person's got 6%. If we divide that by 100, we should get 0.06. So again, I take 1 plus my rate in this case being 0.06, add it, and I get 1.06. And that would be what I was multiplying by each time. And it avoids having to multiply this by 6%, write that down, then add it, then multiply by 6% again, then write that down, then add it, just as it'll be adding for you. So it's skipping a whole step in the middle. If you don't like it, feel free to do the manual way. Otherwise, this is a nice cheat for you, which is going to come in handy in the next problem where you're practicing compound interest. If you have any questions, please come to the office hours from 10 to 11 o'clock. I will be on Teams, and you can ask me any questions about this if you felt something was unclear. Okay, I will see you next week for exponents. Frank says goodbye. That's Mr. Field stand-in, and so does Bob. Come back next week when they're represented by Bad Heart and King Thyroid.